Welcome back, everyone. John here from CONTRABIM, and we are going to continue on with our mini-series on sheet metal roofing. In the previous videos, we had gone through, built up a basic composite element, and applied it to our little sample project here. In the last video, we went through and we started applying the steel deck object here, which has a few different customized options for going through adjusting geometry, and we did some manual placements with the steel deck object to get this surfacing that we are looking at here in our little sample buildup. In this video, we're going to be going through and actually applying some sheet metal flashings to various edges throughout our these different roof elements. And then we'll continue on with a few more videos here. We had some questions after video 2 on the steel decking why we weren't using the surfacer tool. Yeah, we'll definitely be getting into the surfacer tool as well as using railings versus beams so that we can create an entire assembly that is associative. Meaning that it will move along with the host elements here. So we're just kind of building things up from basic to very manual to a little bit more automated and associative. So, okay, with that, we are going to jump in here to the exercise in this video, and we'll really be focusing on the application of different flashings. So to just highlight what we have here, we have an end wall flashing, which is very similar here to a sidewall flashing. We have a ridge flashing. We have a peak, which is going to be kind of this profile right here. We have a gable flashing. We have a valley, which doesn't actually apply in this particular project, but we have one here just set up just anyway. We have a gutter, and then we also have a drip edge. So we have all these different flashings. The majority of them here, well, actually several of them have the option to become adjustable in height. So you can see that we can adjust the heights of these. So not all of them, but the ones that really make sense, so we can adjust those there. So lots of them have that option for doing so where it applies. So okay, so with that, let's just a quick note. Obviously all of these are complex profiles here, so you can always just go in and you know, create the specific flashing that you are looking to use, and then if you need to go in and adjust the angles on these, then certainly you can go in and do that here. You can make these stretchy if you want, but for right now they are fine for our purposes. So okay, with that, let's jump in and get to some modeling. So first thing up here is let's just go through and let's work on our end wall connections. So that's going to be this connection right here is really only our end wall. This connection would be a side wall as well as this one. So let's work now through our end wall connections. So first thing here is I'm just going to pick up the settings of this this beam. Because we have this corner here, I'm going to change our geometry method to a chained method here. One thing with these flashings is often they will be actually drawn behind the finish, so that if you see the complex profile here, your finish will come down and kind of sit on top of that flashing. So we can actually peel back our finishes here, so we can turn that off, and so that way we can really get in here and start modeling to that particular level. Now you'll notice with this beam, it's actually set down here to our base point from our home story, which in this case is the top plate. If we wanted it to actually start right from this point over here, we could come over here, measure, and then just pick up that Z coordinate, which is 12'5", and so that's going to get us close. So in this case, we can go in, set this to project 0, 12'5", and so that will become our new base point for our roof element, or sorry, for our beam. And then from here we can just simply go through and snap these to our different points, and after we've done that, we can check the placement and the elevation of this, and obviously we'll want to raise this up a little bit. So we'll probably raise this to just so that it's starting to sit right on top of these ribs here. And so you can actually see the little hatching on the side here. So as soon as we get to about right there, that's going to be sitting pretty much right on top. So okay, so there we go. We have our end wall connection in. You'll notice when we go to bring back our finishes here, so it's actually going to sit right on top. So it's going to kind of disappear there in the back. And obviously we would end our finish just kind of right on top of that there. So, okay, let's continue on here. So we'll turn off our finishes and let's work through our sidewall connection. So I'm going to pick up the settings here. We can come over and just kind of start at this point here. We can actually see that we're a little bit higher than that working point. Once again, if we wanted to measure to get an idea of what exactly that is, we can see it's 8 foot 3/4 to our Z. So we can actually set that right here if we wanted. So 8 foot 3/4, and then we can simply just click from here, and we'll snap it to right there. And then once again, we can take this and adjust our height. We should actually be able to tell here. Okay, so we weren't 100% right on how we anticipated. If we set this to 20 degrees, it should adjust for us there. Why is that not adjusting? 20. Okay, there we go. So now we know that it's exactly in line with our roof slope, because obviously our roof was 20. And so now we can just simply take this and we can adjust it up. And with the detailing here, obviously we would want to make sure that we at least have one additional rib here in the back. Obviously, if this sheet metal element here, if it was like that and a little bit short, then yeah, that would not work out so well. So we need that that additional rib there in the back to channel that water down. So okay, so that is one condition here. We can also pick this up and we can model from this part right here. So we'll take this, because we already have that angle in here. It's just going to kind of start it off with an angle, and we can snap that right up in there. So okay, we can see how that is fitting. So in this particular case, we can take this and yeah, we can adjust it up. And so it's not the cleanest of connections over here, but it is what it is. So sometimes with these beam elements, we're just not going to 100% sit exactly how we want it in those corners. It's going to want to miter some of those for us. But if we take these and we kind of pull this one, say, pull it back a little bit, we can probably get them to, yeah, kind of fit just a little bit better here. So having this rib located where it is does kind of make this a little bit challenging for that particular connection there. So what we could do is we could give this just a little bit of an offset to bring this rib over slightly. So if we go back to our object here, if we shift our pattern, say like 2 inches, I think that's going to move it over. Okay, and so by doing that, it will allow us to take this and we can drop it back down a bit so that we're a little bit tighter there. So that looks better, and that looks okay up here as well. So pull this down a little bit. So okay, so there we go. We have that side. If we wanted these to match up perfectly, I would actually just delete this side and then simply mirror this one around. So that way we should be able to get those seams 100% matched up. And then once again, we can just take this corner, stretch it to the corner here, and we'll pull it back just a little bit because we have that finish that's going to sit right in there. So, okay, moving right along. Let's continue. So we got both of our sidewall connections in there. We have our end wall connection. Let's work on our peak right here. So let's go through. We will pick up our peak beam, and then once again we're going to just kind of start it right from this point. We can see that it's already set down. So in this case we can model it from that low point, and then we'll just take it here and elevate, and we can continue to elevate this just a little bit higher so that we're sitting right on top up here. And then of course, because we have this as a stretchable profile, we can take this and start pulling that down. So okay, so that looks pretty good, except for we are starting to miter here. So if we take this, pull it back just a little bit, you can see how those clean up much more nicely. So sometimes we want to just get out of our intersections there, and we can do that by shortening or lengthening certain parts and pieces. So okay, so that's really our only peak. Let's work on our gable over on this side. So that's going to be this profile right here. So we can start it from down here at the end. So it looks like we are pretty close there, so that looks good. We'll take it up to the top, and once again we need to at least elevate it so that we are above that ridge. Kind of tough to see it from that angle, but from this angle you can see right where that's going to hit. So okay, and then on this end here, what we can do is we can just simply pull this back just a little bit as well. So we're just talking like a fraction of an inch, and then that way we can get that nice vertical face. And then if we wanted these drip edges to match up, then we simply just can stretch this one down and get that just a little bit closer there. So take it down a little bit more, and okay, so looking better. I'd like this to tighten up just a little bit more, so maybe we'll pull it up and we can actually see how they merge right there. But if we take this one, extend it out just a little bit, then they should unmerge or unintersect. And okay, so that's starting to look cleaner and cleaner. So okay, there we go. So we got all of those sides there. We can take this particular one and pick it up with all of our settings, and we have one gable edge over here, so let's work on this one. So we may need to adjust that one down, but so to get this at the right slope, take this, adjust it down, and then we can adjust it entirely or up so that we're over those ridges there. Okay, so that actually doesn't look terrible up top, but if we once again we just pull it back just slightly, we can get that end cut. That's going to look a lot better. Okay, so moving right along, we got all of our gables, we got our end wall, side wall. So let's do this. So up top here, well, really anywhere along our eaves here, we could add either a drip edge or we could add a gutter. It's kind of up to us here. So up top, if we wanted to add a drip edge, that would probably be fine. Then you would be hearing kind of the dripping down on the metal roof, which might be something you don't want to hear. But let's do this. We'll just simply, just so we can go through the exercise of looking at these few different conditions here, let's pick up our drip edge here, and we can kind of just take this, and if we wanted it to go all the way around here, then we could simply just use our square as an option, our square input method. So we can take it all the way over, and that actually fits pretty nice right underneath there. So our angle on that may be just a little bit off. We can cut a section through here and see, but for the most part it looks okay. But yeah, that's the angle I'm talking about. So if we wanted to get in and adjust that, we go into our profile here, adjust our edge drip, edit, and so right now I believe what are we at? We're at 20 degrees. So if we take this up another 10 degrees, I think we're at 30 degrees total on that roof there. So we can take that, miter those up, save it, and okay, so that's looking better already. So okay, there we go. We got our drip edge on the top, and let's go through, work on we'll add some gutters on the bottom here, just so we can mix it up a little bit. I got a few different profiles here for gutters. Maybe instead of using kind of this profile, we'll just go with like a square gutter for the moment. And so yeah, let's just kind of find our place over here. And we'll just go with our straight geometry. Drop that in right there. And yeah, once again, we got this little bit of a merging situation. So we can extend this one in either direction. And there we go. So obviously we would want to put a cap on that and downspout at some point. But okay, so there we have one side. Let's get it in on the other side over here as well. Let's switch up our method. And you can see that once you kind of get rolling on this, it doesn't take too long to get all these flashings in. Oops, so I made a mess of that corner. Let's undo that, redo it. Okay. All right, so we got our gutters. What else are we missing? Okay, well, of course, it's probably one of the most important ones that we want to have in here, which is going to be our ridge. So let's get our ridge beams going. So, so we can start it over here. We can actually just start it right from this point right there. That should be fine. And we'll just take it all the way up, and I'm going to kind of snap it right inside. And then from here, we can, of course, make a few little adjustments. So our end, we're going to elevate. And we need to elevate this up so that we're sitting right on top over there. So that's looking better. We can actually take this, and if we wanted to give it like a bit of a cut, we can use our cut angles here. So I'd probably want to find something that kind of makes it look like a little bit more of like a 90 on this end here. So trying to get that rotation. So something a little bit more like that. So, okay. Up here, that looks all right. We can probably pull this back just a little bit. Get that to clean up. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Okay, so I might even elevate this slightly. All right, so that looks pretty good. And then we can do the same exact thing up top. So, so with that ridge beam, we're actually going to, we'll pick it up again. Let's set this so that its home story is going to be, well, we'll just have to adjust it here. It should, I think it will automatically stick up here on the top. Okay, so there we go. There's one. Let's get our different corners working. So once again, it's going to help to pull these off. We can extend this out. So what I'm thinking I'll do here is we're just going to mirror this around in both directions, and then we'll take it and elevate it. So we'll mirror it one direction in two directions, and then we'll take all these and you can kind of see right here while we're down in there, it's like a hatch line, and then we're just trying to elevate it slightly above, and then our ridge line, we can just kind of extend it out and elevate this one just a little bit more. Okay, so you can see it's not perfect intersections here, but it's not terrible either. So the nice thing about doing this here is we now have pretty much everything coming through, and we have good takeoffs behind this as well. So we'll check that out here in a second. Just for the moment, I'm going to make some adjustments here on the visual side. So let's just grab all that, hide it. Let's do some quick updates here. We can actually just select all of our objects. I'm going to give this just like, let's see. That looks okay. Let's turn back on our finishes here so we can get a better look of this. So we'll grab all of our beams, which is all of our flashings in this case, and maybe we'll do an override on these as well to give it, I don't know, maybe like a little bit darker blue. Check out some different colorations. So that looks okay. So quickly we can just go through and adjust those to get some different looks out of them. But okay, so anyway, coming up next here, let's grab all of our beams. And just to do a quick recap of our takeoff, we had part 1, part 2. Let's add a part 3 here. Obviously, we could just continue to add them all based off just our single code here, but I kind of like building these up like this, just to kind of point out that we can set up these specific criterias for that purpose. And so now we're adding a part 3. We'll go through and we're going to highlight, or we already have all those beams highlighted. Let's get in here to our location where we have that criteria, which is in this case our schedule, and we'll add in part 3. I believe that's how I had it. Oh, there was no dash there. So part 3. And so now when we go to our report here, we should have pretty good numbers here on our flashing. So yeah, you can actually see all those coming through. Because of how these have been set up, they're now, we're using our element ID as a way of a headline. Let's switch this over here real quick. So let's actually use we have a cost item, which would probably be a good one here. This is like a combination of a cost code and a cost description. So let's switch this over here. And so now we have all of our different sheet metal roofing. That includes our trap profile, which we know those quantities are not real great. So if we want to get rid of that, we can actually just remove our part 2, pull that out. And so now we just have our sheet metal roofing, and we have our flashings and trims. So here we can see that we have different areas coming through. But really with these, we're not so concerned with the area as much as we are with our length. So if we go to our general parameters and pull in our 3D length, that's going to give us a nice takeoff for those elements there. So so now we have our 3D length, and we can actually go through, and if we wanted, we can start comparing those specifically to our different takeoffs over here. So yeah, lots of different options here for just going through and producing these. I think it definitely, you know, makes your model a little bit more accurate when you're actually adding these flashings in. Obviously, you can start working through the details with those as well. But overall, we're really starting to get these coming through. We could certainly add a sum here on our 3D lengths to get those coming through. We could get rid of our area. We don't really need that in this particular case. But yeah, so we have right now currently 352 linear feet of different flashings. You can see our different lengths here for the different types and conditions. So overall, it's looking pretty good here. And yeah, definitely liking that. One way that we can go through and just kind of get like a nice visual indicator here to make sure we have everything picked up would be to add just like a override to this. So I have one already set up here for flashing. So this is a kind of a nice way just to go through and check to make sure that you visually have everything kind of picked up here. There may be a few things like this where we can improve upon the geometry just a little bit. So that might be good. Maybe we even pull it all the way down so it sits right over that gutter. So some of these things, to get these exact cut lengths, if you wanted it to look like that. So this is where we can get just even a little bit more accurate than using our base roof elements, which is how we were calculating these originally here. So anyway, that's pretty much it here for this particular tutorial. If you have any questions on this at all, just let me know. This is, you know, pretty basic modeling here, but definitely adds some nice details to our model, our little sample model here. So yeah, overall, hopefully you picked up a few little tips and tricks here. Obviously, a lot of this is just in going through and setting up the complex profiles. And you know what's nice about this is anytime if you want to go in and modify a profile, you can just simply go through and start making adjustments here. And lots of different options, you know, endless options here for creating different details and different flares for your specific sheet metal flashing. So, all right, I'll wrap this one up here. Coming up in the next video, we are going to dive just a little bit deeper into our associative objects. So we'll be looking at our roof surfacer tools, which are pretty cool as well, because these can really help us in just quickly applying some of these surfacing. And yeah, so that will be the next video here on this little sheet metal roofing mini series. But yeah, once again, if you have any questions, leave it in the comment section. If you like this type of content, then be sure to like the video and subscribe and share it if you think that you know anyone else who can benefit from these short little exercises. So all right, wrap this one up here, and we'll catch you on the next video.